What's up, MxU Live? We decided to give you a little podcast today. I'm here with my good friend Toby from ChurchGear. How's it going, man?
It's going great.
We're almost done with the day.
Almost.
But we have like the most important thing still in front of us. The actual worship set
Yes.
is coming at the end of this.
What we've been building up to all day long.
Right. So make sure you stay tuned for that. That's coming. I wanted to give everybody a sneak peek into what our podcast is. So we have a handful of podcasts, and you also have a great podcast. So I thought, who's a better person to have on a mini video podcast than Toby from ChurchGear?
So is this a little bit of like an 8 Mile, like mic off? What's that called?
What is that called?
Where they like do the rap competition?
Rap battle.
Rap battle.
Podcast battle.
Done.
That's what this segment is now called, the podcast battle.
Yep. Great.
All right, give me your best podcast opening.
Oh my goodness. Well, I need Blake to play off of because can you pretend to be a doofus?
No.
No.
I can't. Impossible. I'm so opposite of Blake. I can't even enter into the same arena.
So you know who Bono is.
I do.
And you know that an audio mixer is not a lighting board.
Correct.
So we actually had Blake sit through the sessions, and he's texting us back saying like, ooh, I'm learning something new, or ooh, this is so boring. And I'm like, Blake, come on, dude, don't make me fire you while you're in a session.
How many times has he been fired?
How many times has the earth gone around the sun?
You fire him every podcast episode?
Almost.
It's like South Park when they kill Kenny.
Yeah, 100%. He actually has some fans now on social media that fight for him.
I bet those are fake accounts.
That he set up.
That's the Elon Musk Russian fake accounts.
Totally.
Yeah. He set them up. That's even better.
Yes. He's trying to get his job back. He went to work for he's gone to work for Amplio now in a social post. He's gone to work for Philo in a social post.
Okay.
So I don't know how he's getting connected with all these other guys.
Yeah.
But I keep firing him for going to other jobs.
Well, he wouldn't make it through our reference process because I would call you.
Yeah.
And say, is he eligible for reemployment? And you would say,
nah.
Right.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Right.
But he seems to work for us.
Got it.
Who in these events today could teach Blake the most about production?
I think anyone, because he knows so little. So we keep talking about Blake, but if people will tune into your podcast.
Yes. And so our podcast is like, if MxU is the highbrow
we're
production.
Highbrow?
I mean, as highbrow as you can get. But we are very lowbrow. So we're hoping to entertain the tech director at larger churches that actually knows what they're doing and has done it for decades. And we're also trying to give a bit of information to the guy that's volunteering at his church that's been there for 8 days because he works in IT. And then they said, hey, you know computers. Why don't you mix audio? Because, I mean, I can fake it. I did audio when I was a teenager. Yeah. But Blake can't fake it. So we're trying to get our guests like you and I mean,
I've been on there.
Everyone that's teaching today has been on our podcast as well, helping us learn some of the basics.
Jeff from MxU's been on.
Yep. Corey's been on. Rusty will be on soon. So Jeremy Bagwell will be on.
You take everyone that comes on our podcast and then you pick up the...
100% we ride your coattails.
Okay, cool. I was going to say pick up the table scraps, but they're not scraps.
No.
Coattails is better.
I mean, when Jay Desai is on, we'll consider that the crumbs.
Once you have him on, you're going to have to add the parental advisory. And
yeah, I was thinking it will go from a category of Christian podcast to non-Christian.
That's a joke. He keeps it clean, but he jokes about not being Christian because it's funny. It's good dude.
He is hilarious. He's kind of your Blake, but with a lot of talent.
That's true. He's just hireable.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so for people that don't know about ChurchGear, you're one of my favorite partners.
Well, thank you.
Because
you told me off camera that we were your favorite, not one of.
I know. I have to say one of now because other people
legal
are
disclaimer.
Hear this.
I get it.
Yeah. So you are my favorite, actually.
Thank you.
Because what you do is so unique, and how you started the business is so unique and scrappy. Like, give us a 2 or 3 minute version of what you were doing that led up to wanting to start this.
Yeah, I started, 13 years old. My dad was the music director. And so he said, son.
At a church.
I got a soundboard and we need somebody. And I looked at that thing and I was like, that looks like fun. So I immediately just fell in love with gear. Like, I am not talented in like actual production, but I've always just loved the gear. And so as I grew up and tried to make it in audio production and then tried to make it in worship leading and realized that I need to also pay the bills, I just started buying and selling gear and discovered, oh, that's what I'm actually good at, is finding value in often forgotten pieces.
Blake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, he is my greatest. Well, I haven't flipped him yet.
You're taking a loss right now.
100%.
We're really beating up Blake today.
I know. We love you, Blake.
Sorry, Blake.
So as I kind of wound down my worship career and realized that I'm not going to be, to the next great worship artist, I just started buying and selling gear full time. And then I just felt God nudging me over and over and over. Like, the church, every single church has gear in their closets. They don't have the time, energy, resources to put it on eBay, resell it. So what if you did this for the church? And so I thought, okay, why not?
Yeah.
And here we are, like 2 years later. And I'm, every church in America calling us, oh, we've got gear, we've got gear, we've got gear.
Yep.
And then the heaviest weight, I think, is how do we get this gear back into the hands of smaller churches that need it? How do we teach them?
Right.
You don't have to just call Sweetwater, go to Guitar Center. Like, we have a lot of that same stuff, and it costs less, and we'll provide them with a warranty.
Well, I mean, this is 2022. You have inventory.
Yes, it's all in stock.
Right. So like buying a microphone right now is difficult if you want it brand new.
Yes.
And you've got piles of them.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's the great thing. It's two reasons why I love you guys. It's you clean out closets at churches.
And we give them money.
And you give them money for their gear. That it's just going to sit there. Like, the church could go and sell this stuff on their own, but that's taking time away from their weekend services, developing their team, pastoring, the things they should be doing.
Yeah.
When you can come in and just say, just tell me what the gear is. Mm-hmm. We'll come and pick it up. We'll hand you a check. And then the second part is, just like what you said, for those smaller churches, well, even bigger churches, you've got mega churches buying high-end used video gear from you, just like you've got smaller churches buying,
because we have it.
Right.
And it's less.
And how many pieces of gear do you have in your warehouse right now?
Right now we have listed 2,200 unique items, and we have hundreds still like waiting in our intake process for our tech team to go through.
And every month, how many new products come in? Hundreds?
Hundreds, if not thousands.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest thing that you're seeing people looking for? Like, what kind of gear are they calling you? Like, oh, you got
Dante.
Oh, that's the big one.
Accent, whatever is the latest and greatest. I mean, when we get that stuff in, it just flies off the shelf, obviously.
In minutes, I bet.
Half the time we don't even list it. We just put it out to our church partners and say, anybody looking for this? And 14 people raise their hands, and we do our best to take whoever's first in line. But we sell a lot of Aviom, like the old A16s.
Yeah, that's funny. Like, here at the event, everybody just saw, we have a band on stage and we're teaching people how to do monitors. But in one of the other cities, we asked how many churches are using personal mixers. Mm-hmm. It seems like every hand's in the air. And it made me go, oh, I think we need to do more resources on personal monitor mixers.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
And if you think of the small church, like, they are a decade behind as far as, they're saying, hey, have you heard this new worship song? It's called How Great Is Our God.
Yeah.
And the big churches with all the latest and greatest, Elevation and Hillsong production styles are thinking, whoa, you were just now getting there.
Yeah.
And so when a small church buys a pack of Avioms, because it's their first dip into the personal monitor world, it's an awesome fit for them, and they can absolutely afford it.
Yeah. So you guys just moved into a new facility?
We did.
That's cool.
Yeah, we're in Franklin, Tennessee, and we were in a barn, which you have visited, and you had to suck in your stomach to even fit through the aisles.
Yeah.
And so we just went to a place like 5 times the size, and we're already scared about, can we make this work for the next 5 years?
I feel the same way. We opened MxU HQ, and at the grand opening, I think the place is too small now. But it feels like that happens with churches too. Like, they build buildings and they do their first weekend and they went, should have built bigger.
Yeah.
Same thing.
And I love that in reality, it's because we underestimated how much church production world needs help.
Yep. That's awesome. So if people have gear and they want to sell you the gear? How do they do that?
Typically, they would go to our site, and there's a big button on the homepage that says Sell Gear, and they would click that, and then they'd follow our 3-step process, just fill out a list of the gear, and we'll put pricing on everything that we're able to purchase, and we apologize in advance for all the gear that we say no to.
Yeah.
But when I think we have 155 churches that we, in this moment, are in conversations with about their gear.
No way. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
You guys have grown a ton this year.
Yes.
That's amazing. Okay, and how do people access the current inventory you have? Where do they see what you have for sale?
ChurchGear.com. We do have discount codes. I think Save on Gear. Or do we have an MxU code? I know we do.
I'm looking at our producer. Do we have a current MxU code?
I wouldn't be surprised, but anytime you want to ask, just email sales@churchgear.com.
Yeah.
But you will always get 10% off. And if you're out of Tennessee, there's no sales tax. I know a lot of churches have exemption anyways.
Yeah.
So there's better things that we can do specifically for churches.
That's awesome. And I hate emails. However, I am on a secret email list called the Early Service.
You sure are.
And you send an email out on, does it come on Sunday mornings?
Monday mornings.
Monday mornings. And if you're on that email list, you get to see like what the hot items are that week that aren't public yet.
Correct. You have 48 hours to buy those before anyone else.
I bet your open rate on that email is pretty high.
It's pretty high. We had a Yamaha QL1 a month ago.
Oh, I bet that was gone in minutes.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome. Because I'm building a rack of old, cool outboard analog gear. So I look on there every Monday. I'm like, okay, does he have anything that I want to buy?
Got a couple Eventide.
I know.
You know you want those, but
I do, but they are expensive. Even with the MxU discounts, they're a little expensive. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, and your podcast. How do people listen to the podcast?
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get podcast. It's the ChurchGear Podcast. One word. ChurchGear is one word. So if you search church and gear in 2 words,
your host. And the MxU Podcast, you can search that anywhere. There's the MxU Podcast, the MxU Video Podcast, the MxU Lighting Podcast, and soon to be, maybe I can just give a little hint here, the MxU Worship Podcast.
With Stephen Brewster?
Was
that public information?
It's not. It's coming, though.
I mean, I know the whole community is like, well, if you're going to do one, you might as well do one with Stephen Brewster.
Well, he would be the GOAT of worship leader.
Pretty much.
Leadership and creative and all the things. So we're pretty excited about that. So that's coming soon. And he's already interviewed the creme de la creme. What's that mean? Cream of the
crop? Best of the best?
The cream of the cream?
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Yeah. He was on our podcast too. Again, riding your coattails.
That's true. We've had him. Who have you had on your podcast that we haven't? Scott Ragsdale.
Oh, Rags. And I think he might have overtaken your episode now.
Blake did slide in my DMs and say, by the way, you're not number 1 anymore. So as much crap as we give Blake, he knows how to dish it back.
He sure does.
So what I did was I reposted the post about Scott to make sure he went to number 1.
Yeah, Blake was laughingly frustrated at you
for doing that.
Yeah, he was like, I thought Lee would repost his, but he's like, well, gets more listens to Scott's. So
yeah, seasoned veteran at trolling here.
And honestly, would you rather Scott mix something than you?
100%.
That guy's crazy.
I've made a career of elevating other people. Why would I stop now, Blake?
I know.
All right. Well, shall we get back to the rest of MxU Live?
I suppose. I mean, I don't know how they're going to go from us to Elevation Worship, but yeah.
It's John, Sal, and Jenna
I'm
from
sorry,
Elevation. Yes. Elevation Worship's not here, but staying close.
You got to be careful who you let onto these things.
You do. They
say all sorts of things that are just wildly untrue.
Can I come on your podcast again?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Booked.